Today we're diving into the legendary 1965 no-mint mark Washington quarter. This bad boy could buy you a luxury car, a small house in the Midwest, or approximately 900,000 gumballs. So grab your coin jars, your piggy banks, or just that rogue quarter wedged between your couch cushions. Let's see if you're sitting on a jackpot now. First things first, let's talk about this mysterious 1965 quarter. It doesn't have a mint mark, which means it was made in Philadelphia back in 1965. The US Mint was switching things up. Silver was getting expensive, and they stopped using it in quarters before 1965. Quarters were 90% silver after 1965. Nope, just copper and nickel, which makes it even more mind-blowing that one 1965 quarter just sold for 91 grand. Why? Because it was secretly struck on a silver plankett type. That's right, somehow one or two silver blanks snuck into the mint after they were supposed to be retired, and boom, you've got a coin that looks like any other quarter, but it's actually worth more than your rent for the next 3 years. Now here's where things get spicy. There are two things that make this coin super rare. One, it was a total mint error. Two, almost nobody knew to look for it until decades later, which means there are probably still a few of these floating around in people's junk drawers, in coin rolls, or in that mysterious sock full of change your grandma gave you that one Christmas. Let me tell you a quick story, true story. I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. He handed me a rusty old coffee can full of coins and said, "Here, go buy yourself a burger." That thing must have weighed 10 pounds. So I go home, dump it out on the table like a pirate counting loot, and there it was, a bunch of old quarters, nickels, pennies. I almost tossed them into a Coinstar machine, but instead, I looked up the dates, and you better believe I paused when I saw 1965. I pulled it aside, weighed it, compared it to other quarters. Did it turn out to be silver? Sadly, no, but for about 5 minutes, I was $91,000 richer in my head. Moral of the story: check your change, people, because even if you strike out, it's fun, it's free, and hey, it beats doom scrolling. So how can you tell if your 1965 quarter is one of the rare ones? First, check the weight. Regular quarters made after 1965 weigh about 5.67 grams, but silver ones are heavier, closer to 6.25 grams. So grab a digital scale. If your quarter tips the scale above 6 grams, you might just have a winner. Next, look at the edge. Modern quarters have that copper-colored strip on the edge, but silver ones are solid white or silver all the way through. If it's all silver around the edge, you might want to stop everything and call a coin expert or your mom just to scream a little. Also, condition matters. If your 1965 silver quarter is in great shape, uncirculated, lustrous, basically the coin version of a Hollywood actor in their prime, it's worth even more. That $91,000 coin wasn't just rare, it was also in pristine condition, mint state 67. To be exact, that's like getting an A+ on your coin report card. Now, you might be thinking, well, great, I don't have a silver one. Is my regular 1965 quarter worth anything? Good question. In circulated condition, probably not more than face value, but if you've got one in super nice shape, no dings, no scratches, it could still be worth a few bucks to the right collector. So don't give up hope. Alright, treasure hunters, here's your mission. Go through your spare change, check your jars, drawers, and glove compartments. Ask your grandma about her secret stash, and don't sleep on the 1965 quarter, because one lucky coin could change everything. If you like this video and want more tips on how to turn pocket change into a paycheck, or just love hearing stories about coins worth more than your car, then hit that subscribe button, smash that like button like it owes you money, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big coin you should be hunting for. Thanks for watching. We're talking all about the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter that has collectors losing their minds and opening their wallets. Spoiler alert, it might be in your pocket right now. So buckle up, coin fam, because we're about to dive into why this quarter is so valuable, what to look for, and how one little piece of metal could turn into a very expensive pizza fund. Alright, first things first, let's break down the basics of this 1967 quarter. Back in '67, the US Mint was still recovering from the chaos of the coin shortage in the early '60s. To keep things simple and prevent people from hoarding coins, they actually stopped putting mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967. So if you're wondering why there's no letter under the eagle on the back, that's totally normal. But here's where things get juicy. Not every 1967 quarter is worth a fortune. In fact, most of them are worth, well, a quarter. But every so often, one pops up with something extra. Maybe it's in pristine condition, uncirculated, or even has a rare error that makes collectors go, gimme! Let's talk about the $91,000 one. This specific 1967 quarter sold for that price because it was in MS-68 condition, that's mint state 68, for the uninitiated. Basically, it looked like it came out of the machine yesterday, not decades ago. It's like finding a perfectly preserved Twinkie from 1967, only instead of diabetes you get dollars. Now I know what you're thinking, but I have a bunch of 1967 quarters in a drawer. Am I rich? Maybe. Probably not. But maybe. See, most of these quarters were heavily circulated. Yours would need to be near flawless. We're talking shiny, crisp, no scratches, and almost untouched. And if you've got one with a minting error like double die obverse or off-center strike, that's the cherry on top. Personal story time, let me tell you what happened to me. A few years back, I was helping my grandma clean out her kitchen drawer. You know, the one full of rubber bands, broken pens, and old keys that don't open anything. She had this little coin purse from the 80s, and I figured, probably nothing special in here. Fast forward 5 minutes. I'm on the floor, staring at a 1967 quarter with no mint mark and barely a scratch on it. My heart's racing like I just saw Bigfoot in the backyard. Took it to a local coin shop and, okay, it wasn't worth $91,000, but I did get a sweet $25 for it. Not bad for a coin that lived next to paper clips for 30 years. So here's the deal. If you've got a 1967 no mint mark Washington quarter, it might be worth checking out. Clean it gently, don't scratch it up, and maybe show it to a professional, especially if it looks unusually fresh. Coin collecting isn't just for old guys with magnifying glasses anymore. It's for anyone who wants to turn lunch money into luxury money if you're into this kind of stuff. Finding coins worth real cash, learning how to spot errors, and hearing more wild stories like mine. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And ring the little bell too so you don't miss out on the next time a penny turns out to be worth more than your car. Drop a comment if you've ever found something crazy in your change, and I'll catch you in the next one. Today we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1979 D-Mint Mark Washington Quarter One that recently sold for a jaw-dropping $91,000. Yeah, you heard that right, 91,000 smackaroos. So sit back, grab that old jar of coins your grandma gave you, and let's find out if you're sitting on a gold mine or just some really shiny pocket change. Let's kick things off with the basics. The Washington Quarter's been around since 1932, and it's kind of like that uncle at family gatherings always. Shows up dependable but usually not the center of attention. But in 1979 something pretty special happened at the Denver Mint. That year they pumped out millions, and I mean millions of quarters, over 489 million to be exact. So why in the world would one be worth as much as a luxury sports car? Glad you asked, my friend. See, not all quarters are created equal. Some have what collectors call errors or unique characteristics. Maybe the minting machine hiccuped, maybe the die was worn out, maybe someone spilled their morning coffee on the press. We'll never know, but what we do know is these little oopsies can turn a regular coin into a collector's dream. Now back to our 1979 D quarter. The one that sold for $91,000 wasn't just any OL quarter, it was graded at the very top of the grading scale, MS68. That means mint state 68, super clean, super sharp, no scratches, no bag marks, just pure glorious shiny perfection. Let me tell you about a time I almost cried over a quarter I was digging through some change to grab a soda and spotted a super clean 1979 D quarter. I thought, man, this thing is spotless, almost kept it, but no, I used it on a vending machine to buy a warm can of root beer. If that quarter had been the rare one worth $91K, well, let's just say that soda better have been made from unicorn tears. Back to the details. What makes the 1979 D quarter so valuable is not just the grade but also the scarcity of high-quality examples. Even though they made a ton of these quarters, finding one in near-perfect condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. If the haystack was made of other needles, collectors go wild over these because they want the best of the best, kind of like sneakerheads looking for pristine Jordans or comic nerds hunting for a mint copy of Action Comics #1. And you might be thinking, all right, so how do I know if my quarter is worth big bucks? Here are a few quick tips. First, check for the D-Mint mark that's going to be just to the right of Washington's ponytail if it's not there. You've got a Philly coin and sorry friend, not the jackpot today. Next, look at the condition. Is it crisp? Is the detail on Washington's hair still poppin'? Does the eagle on the back look majestic or more like a tired pigeon? The sharper and shinier the better. Last but not least, consider getting it graded. If it looks amazing, grading companies like PCGS or NGC can certify the condition, and that's where the magic number like MS68 comes into play. That's where the money happens. Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions, I should tell you the odds of finding a flawless 1979 D quarter are pretty slim, but hey, lightning strikes right, someone somewhere found one and cashed out $91,000 richer. So the next time you're counting change for your morning coffee or emptying your pockets at the airport, don't rush, check those coins, take a second look, because buried in that handful of clinky metal might just be your ticket to a new car or a really, really fancy sandwich. And if you want more tips on Coins that could be worth a fortune. Stick around, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another hidden treasure. We talking pennies, nickels, quarters, even half dollars that could be worth more than your rent. And who doesn't want to learn how to turn change into cash without robbing a bank? Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your eyes on the coins and your heart full of hope. Happy hunting. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1981 P. Washington quarter and why you might want to raid your couch cushions like a pirate hunting for buried treasure. Alright, first things first, let's talk about the 1981 Washington quarter. It looks pretty standard, right? George Washington on the front, an eagle flexing its wings on the back, and that good ol' P mint mark sitting right under "In God We Trust." Nothing flashy at first glance. But here's the deal, not all of them are created equal. Now, the average 1981 P quarter is worth 25 cents. No surprise there. But some rare, top-grade specimens, like ones graded MS67 Plus by professional grading companies, can skyrocket in value. And I mean skyrocket. We're talking auction house-level money. In fact, one of these rare quarters was reportedly sold for $91,000. I mean, who needs Bitcoin when you've got a quarter with a good skincare routine? So what makes this particular coin so valuable? It comes down to condition, rarity, and a bit of good old-fashioned luck. These high-grade coins are ridiculously hard to find. Most quarters from circulation have been beat up by vending machines, car cup holders, and kids trying to use them in gumball machines. But a quarter that's been preserved in pristine condition? That's a unicorn. And let me tell you a quick story. Last summer, I was helping my cousin move. You know, one of those "will be done in 2 hours" lies that somehow turn into a full-day CrossFit workout. Anyway, we're clearing out this old dresser, and I find this little jar of coins. I start looking through it, because I'm a coin nerd and proud of it, and bam, I spot a shiny 1981 P quarter. My heart did a somersault. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the $91,000 one, but man, that little moment made me realize, you never know what's hiding in plain sight. So here's the takeaway. Next time you're at the laundromat or digging in your change jar for taco money, take a second look at your quarters. That little P mint mark from 1981 could be your ticket to a big payday. You don't need a metal detector, a pirate map, or a pickaxe. Just curiosity, a good eye, and maybe a little bit of luck. If you found this fun and helpful, smash that subscribe button like it's a stack of unsearched coin rolls. Hit the bell so you never miss a tip that could turn pocket change into serious cash. And drop a comment below. Have you ever found a valuable coin just lying around? Let's swap stories. We're diving into the 1988 D mint mark Washington quarter, and hold on to your wallets because one of these bad boys sold for a jaw-dropping $91,000. I know, right? I dropped my coffee when I first heard that too. If you've got a coin jar sitting on your kitchen counter or a bunch of spare change in your car console, now's the time to give those quarters a second look. This is one coin you definitely don't want to ignore, so kick back, grab your magnifying glass, or just squint real hard, because we're about to find out why this ordinary-looking coin is worth more than my entire car, and maybe yours too. Alright, let's get into the good stuff. The 1988 Washington quarter, minted in Denver, has that little D mint mark right under the eagle's tail feathers on the reverse side. You've seen it 1,000 times before, but here's the twist. This particular coin that sold for $91K wasn't just your average pocket change. It was pristine, flawless, graded MS68, which in coin world is basically like winning the coin Olympics. Now, before you flip over every quarter in your house screaming, "I'm rich," hang on, there are a few things that make a 1988 D quarter truly valuable. Let's break it down. First, the condition. This isn't your average coin that's been to the laundromat and back. We're talking mint state, which means the coin looks like it just rolled out of the mint and landed gently on a pillow. No scratches, no nicks, not even a sneeze near. Second, it's all about rarity. See, even though millions of these coins were made, very few survived in top condition. It's like trying to find a perfectly preserved taco from 1988. It just doesn't happen. And third, errors. Oh yes, error coins are like the weird kids in school that grew up to be millionaires. Maybe the D is off-center, maybe there's a double die or a die crack, maybe it's missing some details from a weak strike. These quirks can drive collectors wild and push the value sky high. Now, story time. I actually found a 1988 D quarter last year in a parking lot outside a gas station. It was scuffed up, had gum stuck to it, and definitely not a $91,000 coin, but I took it home, cleaned it up okay, not with soap and water. I've learned my lesson and added it to my collection. Just holding it made me feel like I'd found buried treasure. Even though it wasn't the jackpot, it reignited my love for coin hunting and reminded me that every coin has a story. So what should you look for in your 1988 D quarter? Simple one, flip it over and check for that D mint Mark 2. Look closely at the condition. Anything super shiny and scratch-free deserves a closer look. 3. Use a magnifier or your phone camera. Zoom in to check for errors like doubling or odd marks. 4. If you think you've got a winner, get it graded by a professional. It might cost a few bucks, but hey, it could lead to a serious payday. You might not find a $91,000 quarter right away, but you'd be surprised how many valuable coins are sitting in jars, drawers, and under your couch cushions right now. So next time someone says quarters aren't worth much, you can just smile and tell them the story of the 1988 D Washington quarter that sold for more than some people's college tuition, or in my case, more than my entire coin collection times 10. Coin collecting is more than just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt, and the best part is you don't need a pirate map, just some curiosity, a sharp eye, and maybe a little luck if you learned something new today or just enjoyed hanging out with me while we geeked out over pocket change. Do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, tap that like, and ring the bell so you never miss a coin that could make you rich, or at least mildly wealthy. We got more videos coming your way all about coins worth money, coin collecting tips and stories from the wild world of currency. We're diving into the story of a coin that might just be chilling in your junk drawer right now, the 1990 Washington quarter with a little letter P on it. And guess what? This innocent-looking coin recently sold for a jaw-dropping $91,000. Yeah, you heard that right, 91 grand for 25 cents. Someone's vending machine snack just paid off their mortgage. All right, let's break this down. First up, the 1990 P Mint. Mark that P stands for Philadelphia, where the coin was minted, and trust me, most of them are worth, well, you know, a quarter, maybe 50 cents if it's in really nice shape. But here's the twist, not all 1990 quarters are created equal. Some of them have what we call error magic. This particular quarter that sold for 91K had a super rare mint error. Think of it like the golden ticket in Willy Wonka's chocolate bar, but instead of candy you get cash. So what was the error? In this case, we're talking about a coin that was struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination. Possibly a nickel or even a foreign coin. That means the size, weight, and look are off, and collectors go absolutely bananas for this kind of thing. Now you might be thinking, okay, cool, but how do I know if I have one? First, grab a magnifying glass or your phone camera and check the basics. Look for anything weird. Maybe the coin feels too light or too heavy. Maybe the rim is strange or the image is off-center. Basically, if it looks like your quarter had a rough night, it might be special. And here's a little story for you. I was once at a garage sale and found a box of old coins for $5, just a dusty box marked grandma's junk. I picked it up not expecting much, but later at home I found a 1970s quarter with a minor error that fetched a few $100 online. That moment made me realize coins are basically tiny little lottery tickets, and now every time I get change I'm that weirdo holding quarters up to the light at Starbucks. Back to our 1990p superstar. If you've got one, check the weight. It should be around 567 grams. Anything off by more than a little could mean something special. And if you suspect it's an error, don't just toss it on eBay, take it to a coin dealer or get it graded by PCGS or NGC. That's how this baby reached the 91,000 mark. Professional verification turns your guess into gold. So there you have it, folks. A regular old quarter from 1990 might be worth more than your car, your couch, and maybe your cousin's college debt. Keep checking your change, because coins like these are still out there just waiting to be discovered. If you found this video helpful, or if you've already run to your coin jar, hit that like button like it owes you money, and don't forget to subscribe for more real tips on coins that could be worth real cash. We've got more coin facts, hacks, and stories coming your way, so ring that bell and join the coin collecting crew. Today we're diving into a coin that might be chilling in your old drawer or jangling around in your car's cup holder, the 1992 Washington quarter with a little D Mint mark on it. That's right, the Denver minted one. And guess what? One of these babies sold for over $91,000. That's right, $91,000 for a quarter. Yeah, that's not a typo. So before you chuck your change into a vending machine for a bag of stale chips, hang tight, because you might be sitting on a small fortune. All right, let's get into it. The 1992 D Washington quarter is usually just your run-of-the-mill coin, nothing crazy, right? Just George Washington doing his thing on the front, eagle spreading its wings on the back. But here's where it gets spicy. In 1992, the mint made a little oopsie. Well, actually some of these quarters were accidentally struck using the reverse design intended for proof coins, you know, the fancy ones with mirror-like backgrounds and sharp details that never leave the house. These special ones are called the 1992 D Close AM quarters, and they are rare, like unicorn playing a banjo rare. So what's this close AM thing? Normally on the back of the quarter the word America has the letters A and M spaced apart, but on the rare proof reverse the A and M are practically touching. They're like besties at a concert, squished together in the front row. And if you find one with that D Mint mark and the Close AM detail, congratulations, you've just hit the jackpot. Now this is where my own story comes in. A few years ago I was helping my uncle clean out his garage. You know, one of those epic cleanouts where you discover stuff you didn't even know existed, including a very questionable sandwich fossilized inside a toolbox. Anyway, I spotted this jar full of coins under a mountain of tangled extension cords. I grabbed it more out of boredom than treasure hunting instincts. Later that night, while watching reruns of old sitcoms and avoiding my responsibilities, I started sorting through the coins. I found a 1992 quarter with a D mint mark. Didn't think much of it at first, but something looked off with the back. The spacing of the letters was tighter than my jeans after thanks. Giving dinner a quick search online, and boom, my heart skipped a beat. Could it be the rare clothes? Am I rushed to get it checked out? Turns out it wasn't the real deal, but man, that adrenaline rush, that little moment of maybe, just maybe, got me hooked on this hobby for good. And that's the fun part. You don't need to be a professional, you don't need fancy tools, just a sharp eye, a little patience, and maybe a magnifying glass or two. Now back to the juicy part. Why is this coin worth so much? Because there are so few of them, only a handful have been confirmed, and coin collectors love a good rarity. The better the condition, the more you can get. That $91,000 quarter was graded super high, almost perfect condition. So yeah, condition matters, folks. No one's paying top dollar for a quarter that looks like it went through a lawnmower. So here's the deal. Next time you're digging in your couch cushions or emptying your pockets after a laundry run, take a second to check your quarters. If you've got a 1992 D quarter, flip it over and see if those letters in America are snuggled up close. You might just be holding on to a secret jackpot. If you love the idea of turning pocket change into real money, and you want more tips, tricks, and weirdly satisfying coin stories, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you've ever found a coin and thought, wait, is this worth something? Drop a comment below if you've got a cool coin find, or if you're about to raid your grandma's change jar. Have you ever found a coin in your pocket change that made you stop and think, wait a minute, this could be worth something? Well, let me tell you, there's one coin that might have slipped under your radar: the 1993 D mint mark Washington $quarter coin. And no, it's not just another shiny quarter you toss into the tip jar. Cue the drumroll. This coin can be worth a whopping $91,000. Yep, you heard that right. A quarter from 1993 could have more value than your last paycheck. Crazy, right? So, stick around as we break down why this coin is one you should keep an eye out for, and how you might just find a fortune in your loose change. Alright, let's get into the nuts and bolts. The 1993 D Washington $quarter coin has been quietly sitting in circulation, waiting for the day it gets the attention it deserves. This coin isn't rare in the usual sense. In fact, millions of them were minted. But here's the kicker. Some of these quarters were struck with a minting flaw, and we all know that a little imperfection can make something a whole lot more valuable. Think of it like that one pair of jeans you accidentally ripped in a way that now makes them distressed, but way more expensive than before. What makes the 1993 D Washington quarter special is a small, subtle error that can make it highly desirable to collectors. Certain quarters from this year have a doubling effect in their design, which means some of the features like the lettering on the coin appear doubled. This defect is known as die doubling, and if you're lucky enough to find one of these quarters, you could be holding a gold mine. Now, here's the fun part. The market value for a 1993 D with that rare doubling error can go up to $91,000. Yeah, that's not a typo. People have actually paid nearly six figures for one of these quarters. That's enough to buy a lot of those fancy coffees you've been eyeing, and then some. But hey, how are you supposed to spot a $91,000 quarter in a pile of other pocket change? Good question, my friend. First off, it's all about the doubling in the design. You'll want to check the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see a clear shadow or duplication of the letters, that's your sign. Take a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. No, you don't need to be Sherlock Holmes, but it helps. You might also want to check the date and mint mark on the coin. Make sure it's AD mint mark, Denver Mint. Folks, here's a funny story to lighten things up. A few years ago, I was digging through a change jar I'd been collecting for years. And guess what? I found a quarter that looked a little funky. I thought, maybe it's a rare one, but after a quick Google search and checking the details, I realized it wasn't the valuable variety. It was just a normal 1993 quarter. Bummer, right? I'm telling you, it feels like a treasure hunt every time you check your loose change. But sometimes it's just a lot of junk coins. It happens to the best of us.so. What's the takeaway here? If you find a 1993 D mint mark Washington quarter with a little magic, aka the doubling error, you might be sitting on a small fortune. It's one of those moments where you could go from casual coin collector to instant millionaire. Okay, maybe not a millionaire, but $91,000 is still pretty sweet. But even if you don't have a 1993 D with that error, don't toss those quarters just yet. Coin hunting is all about persistence and the thrill of the chase. You never know when you'll stumble upon the next gem that could make you rich, or at least help you pay for a night out. So, if you're loving the coin hunting vibe and want more tips and tricks on how to spot coins worth serious cash, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be back with more info on the most valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Happy hunting, and remember, check your change. You could be richer than you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that was worth more than you expected. What's the most valuable coin you've ever stumbled upon? Let me know and I'll. Have you ever dug through a pile of loose change and thought, this coin could be worth something, right? Well, it turns out, sometimes you're right. Take, for example, the 1994 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter. You might have one sitting around in your pocket, or maybe you've even tossed a few into that jar on your desk where all the not worth much coins go. But let me tell you something, this coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $91,000. Yes, you heard me correctly, almost $100,000. And no, I'm not pulling your leg here, so stick around, because today we're diving deep into why that little quarter might be more than just a shiny piece of metal in your change jar. Let's go. All right, let's start with the basics. The 1994 P Washington $quarter isn't some rare, ancient coin that came from the depths of a treasure chest. Nope, it's from the 90s, a time when Pokemon cards were king and dial-up internet was the soundtrack of frustration. But here's the kicker. While the regular 1994 quarters are worth just face value, some very specific ones can fetch big bucks. And by big bucks, I mean $91,000 now. I know what you're thinking. How in the world does a quarter from 1994 become a $91,000 coin? Well, let's break it down. First off, it's all about the error. See, not every 1994 P Mint Mark Washington quarter is worth a fortune. In fact, the majority of them are sitting in change jars all over the country, probably getting used for parking meters or vending machines. But there's one key detail that makes this particular coin special. It was struck off-center. Imagine you're trying to make a pizza, but your dough's a little, well, off-center. It's still pizza, right? But it's not perfect. Same thing with coins. If a coin is struck a little off-center during production, it becomes a rare error coin, and in some cases, like this 1994 P Washington quarter, this mistake could make it worth a small fortune. And here's where it gets fun. In 1994, a batch of quarters was minted with this off-center strike, and some of these coins ended up in circulation. And that's the kicker. These off-center 1994 P Washington quarters are worth a ton because they're so rare. It's like finding that one Pokemon card everyone wants, except, without the whole gotta-catch-'em-all business. Personally, I remember a few years back, I came across a quarter that had that weird off-center look. I thought, this is a little funky. Maybe it's worth something? But instead of checking on it, I just tossed it into my drawer. Fast forward to a few months ago, and I'm watching a coin auction and boom, someone's selling a similar coin for thousands. And that's when I had one of those oh moments. So, lesson learned, if you spot a weird-looking coin, don't just stash it away thinking it's worthless. Sometimes those quirks are the ticket to a fortune. But back to the 1994 P Washington quarter. If your coin looks like it's off-center, whether the design's shifted or it's got some weird edge, get it checked out, because error coins like this can be the ones that make collectors and dealers sit up straight. So what's the takeaway here? First, don't toss out your change without checking it. There could be a treasure in there. And if you happen to have a 1994 P Washington quarter that's a little off-center, well, you might just be sitting on a small fortune, so it's worth doing a little research or getting it appraised. Hey, who knew the coin jar could be hiding something so valuable, right? If you found this video helpful, and hopefully not just entertaining, make sure to smash that subscribe button. I'll be posting more tips on coins worth money, cool strategies to spot rare finds, and even a few personal stories of coin hunting. You don't want to miss out on more tips that could turn your change into serious cash. And, hey, next time you're rifling through your spare change, just remember, that quarter in your pocket, it might be more than just pocket change. Keep hunting, keep looking, and you never know what you might find. What if I told you that you could have a coin sitting in your pocket right now that could be worth over $91,000? Yup, you heard me right, $91K. I'm not talking about a rare artifact or some ancient relic. I'm talking about a 1995p mint Mark Washington $quarter coin. Crazy, right? Now, before you run off and start checking your pockets for that quarter, let me break it down for you. Today, we're diving into exactly what makes this coin so special, why it could be worth so much, and how you might be holding on to a small fortune without even realizing it. Alright, so what's the deal with this 1995p mint Mark Washington quarter? First off, let's talk about why this coin is worth so much. The 1995p mint Mark Washington $quarter is a little different than your everyday quarter. At first glance, it looks like your typical 25-cent coin. Nothing too flashy, nothing too special. But here's the kicker. It has a huge market value right now, and it's because of something called a die error. Yep, something went a little haywire in the minting process, and that's what gives this coin its amazing value. You see, the 1995p mint Mark quarter has a double die error. Essentially, the design of George Washington's face got stamped twice, creating this cool, slightly misaligned effect. The result? A quarter with some serious character and a lot of collector appeal. Now, there's only a handful of these bad boys out there, which is what really drives up the price. If you happen to have one of these rare double-die quarters in your possession, congratulations, you could be sitting on a small fortune. We're talking about $91,000 if the coin is in mint condition, and trust me, that's not a number you want to ignore. Here's a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my drawers, because let's face it, who doesn't have a drawer full of random coins, right? When I came across a 1995 quarter, I almost threw it in the jar with all the others. But something about it felt a little different. I decided to take a closer look and bam! I noticed the double details on Washington's face. Naturally, I freaked out for about an hour, did some research and realized I might be holding a gold mine. Turns out, I didn't have a 1995p with a double die error, sadly. But hey, it taught me an important lesson about checking my change. So, moral of the story, always inspect your quarters. You never know when you're sitting on a $91,000 gem. Now, to the real question, how do you know if your 1995 quarter is worth $91,000? Well, the most important thing is to check for the doubling on George Washington's face. It's a subtle thing, so you'll need to look closely. If you notice that his facial features, especially around the eyes and nose, look like they've been stamped twice, then you might have found a winner. Other areas to check are the lettering around the coin and the motto E pluribus unum. But that's not all. The condition of your coin is crucial. A coin that's been in circulation, scratched up, and worn down probably won't fetch the big bucks. If your coin is in great shape with no visible wear and tear, that's a huge plus. The more pristine, the more it could be worth. Let's talk numbers for a second. A regular 1995p mint Mark Washington quarter is worth, what, 25 cents? But if your coin is in top condition and shows off that double die error, it could sell for upwards of $91,000. Yup, that's a major jump from pocket change to life-changing money. So what's the takeaway here? Don't just throw your change into a jar and forget about it. Take a second to check your quarters, especially if you've got some 1995 ones floating around. You might just be sitting on a small fortune. Alright, coin lovers, now that you know how to spot a potential $91,000 1995p mint Mark Washington quarter, I want to hear from you. Have you found any rare coins hiding in your spare change? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you're not already subscribed, hit that button so you don't miss any of the latest tips on rare coins, their values, and how to find hidden treasures in your change. Because honestly, who doesn't want to go from just another collector to the next big coin millionaire? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Maybe they'll check their change too, and we can all start looking for some rare finds together. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your coin hunting adventures. Have you ever dug through your change jar and found something that made you go, is this worth anything? I did that once and found a coin that was worth way more than I expected. But today's story is a game changer. If you've got a 1998p Washington quarter, you might just be sitting on a gold mine or at least a really shiny silver mine. Why? Well, buckle up because this quarter could be worth up to $91,000. Yes, you heard that right. $91,000. So if you've got one of these in your pocket or your coin collection, you might want to keep watching. Alright, let's talk about this coin. The 1998p Washington quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and it looks like a regular old quarter, right? You've seen it a million times. It's got George Washington on one side and the eagle on the other, like any other quarter. But here's the twist. A very special 1998p Washington quarter has popped up on the market with some crazy high bids. And by crazy, I mean nearly $91,000. How, you ask? What makes this quarter so special? Let me break it down for you. It's not about the design or the mint mark itself. The trick is in the condition of the coin. You see, most coins over time get damaged, scratched, or worn down. But a rare, well-preserved 1998p quarter is an absolute gem. We're talking about a coin that's in pristine condition, usually graded as MS67 or higher. That means no wear, no tarnishing, just sparkling brilliance. The higher the grade, the higher the price tag. And let me tell you, there's a collector out there who will pay top dollar for that kind of perfection. Now, you might be thinking, wait, do I need a magnifying glass and a PhD to spot a coin like this? Well, not quite. But you do need to know what you're looking for. If your 1998p quarter looks fresh out of the mint, no scratches, no dings, no discoloration, that could be your golden ticket. But don't just go pulling every 1998p quarter from your pocket thinking it's worth a small fortune. You want to make sure it's in top-tier condition, and this is where it gets tricky. You might even want to get it professionally graded to see if it's really worth that big payday. Let me tell you a personal story. Back when I first started collecting coins, I was convinced that every coin had to be worth something. I found an old penny in my change jar and thought it was a rare 1943 steel penny. You know, the kind that could be worth thousands. I was so excited that I almost immediately started planning my vacation to the Bahamas, until I realized it was just a regular old 1990-something penny. Oops. But here's the thing. That experience taught me a lesson about how valuable it is to learn the details before diving in. If I'd known what to look for back then, I would have been a much more savvy collector. Now, I'm here to help you avoid that same mistake and find real gems like this 1998p quarter. So, how do you make sure you're not missing out on a hidden fortune? Well, if you think you've got a 1998p Washington quarter in pristine condition, get it checked out. Consider sending it off for grading, and you could be holding on to something worth a small fortune. Imagine telling your friends you've got a $91,000 quarter in your collection. That's the kind of story that gets you serious street cred among collectors. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is it really that easy? Well, yes and no. Finding these rare coins takes a little bit of knowledge and patience, but trust me, it's totally worth it. And hey, if you want more tips, tricks, and insights on how to spot coins that could make you money, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out. Who knows, the next coin you find could be your ticket to a big payday.